How do you get a woman to value her time with you? How do you get her to value the attention that you give her? How do you get her to not take you for granted, to not string you along, to see you as a man that she would seriously date, a man that she would sleep with? Well, it all starts with having her respect you. Now, respect can be something that takes years to earn from somebody, or it could be something that you get in an instant. In this video, I want to give you 5 ways to have a woman instantly respect you. Hi, I'm Bobby Rio, and I often tell my clients that if a woman doesn't respect you, it's almost impossible to keep her attracted to you. You'll never have her full attention. You'll never have her mind not wandering to somebody else as you're talking to her, as you're pursuing a relationship with her, if you don't start at a level of respect. She absolutely must respect you if she's going to allow herself to feel attraction to you for very long. So in this video, I want to walk through 5 ways that you can command that respect. Now, as you're going to see, there's one word that resonates through all 5 of the ways that we're going to go over, and that word is unapologetic. And this word is going to weave in, and you're going to see that all of these kind of piggyback off of each other, and the more of them that you incorporate, the more that respect is going to come to you. And like I said, even if a woman isn't initially attracted to you, if she respects you, you buy yourself time. You gain that time to develop attraction. If she doesn't respect you off the bat, you're not going to get that time. She's not going to give you that chance. Now, really important thing that I want to address here, because it's not often said, is that you only want to really be dealing with women that you respect as well, because it's very easy for us to pick on guys and say, you've got to earn a woman's respect. But one of the simplest things to do to get a woman's respect is to make her earn your respect. To only be talking to women and you only be interacting with women that you legitimately respect as well. Because if you're talking to people and interacting with people that aren't valuing you, that you don't respect as a person, that's going to seep through, and it's going to actually lower your value. It's going to lower your status in everybody's eyes, because they see that you don't really have standards, that you don't have personal boundaries, and that you're willing to actually deal with anybody, which means you probably don't have a lot of options in your life. So let's go through these ways to command respect from people. Now, the first one is something that I call own the reality. And this is something that you're going to need to wrap your head around a little bit, but it's extremely powerful. And I want to give you a couple stories that demonstrate what I'm talking about, because I think it's easier to see that way. The first is a story that my friend Rob Judge often tells. Years ago, when he was living in New York and I used to meet up with him and some of our friends out there to hang out, there was this guy, Zach, that Rob used to work with, a guy that was probably known as one of the best guys in the world at the time for going out to bars, meeting a woman, attracting her. And Rob often tells this story where there was a night where he was at the Gansevoort, this lounge in New York, and he was watching Zach, and Zach was approaching this group of girls. And Zach is talking to them, he's having fun, he's flirting, but the girls are all giving each other the help me eyes, and they're kind of like, who is this guy? And they actually started referring to him as it. They'd be like, what is it doing? Is it still talking to us? Being like completely just derogatory. And Zach walks over to get a beer and he talks to Rob, and Rob is like, yo, those girls are like totally ripping on you. Why are you staying there? And he goes, man, they just don't know Zach yet. And he went back in, grabbed his beer, went back in, and Rob tells the story that 30 minutes later, Zach is in the corner making out with one of the women. And that's this idea, this reality of, my reality is so strong that whatever is going through your mind eventually is going to succumb to my reality. So the girls might have initially been like, who is this guy? Why is he talking to us? They might have been in the frame of, this guy's hitting on me, I'm going to reject him. But when your reality is so strong, eventually you can overpower that, and they respect that. Another example that I often give, and this is a key to that word unapologetic, is I used to work with this guy, Nick. We called him Handsome Nick in a sort of ironic way, because he looked like, the way I explained it, he looked like Steve Buscemi on crack. He had long, scraggly hair, crooked teeth. He was into all kinds of I call them weird things, but if they're things you're into, then, you know, they're not weird. But he was into like Dungeons and Dragons, and he was in like Japanese anime and all this kind of stuff that at the time wasn't really, I don't know, popular in the group of people that we were hanging out with. And he was very unapologetic about it, though. He would talk about these things very openly. I'm gonna go home and play World of Warcraft with my friends, and I'm gonna, like, and no embarrassment around it. And what was interesting was that Nick did really well with women. Every guy that he met gave him a lot of respect. They talked to him. He got invited to parties. You can see that it was never a matter of him being at the lower level. He was always on the same level as women who, on the basis of looks, should have been way above him. Guys on the basis of, you know, being the quote unquote typical alpha male guys, very on the same level. And that's because Nick owned his reality. He was very unapologetic about his reality. And anytime we meet somebody, two realities are gonna clash, and the stronger reality is gonna win. So I'm gonna give you an extreme example of this. If you were to walk into a bar and Taylor Swift was there, her reality is gonna be so strong that anybody that comes into contact with her is gonna succumb. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say that I can own the reality with Taylor Swift. She's worth $400 million. She's one of the most famous people in the world. And when you get around her, that's gonna become the reality. You're not gonna be yourself. You're gonna be doing all the things that lean into her reality. And when you're leaning into somebody's reality, it's very hard for them to fully respect you. So how do you know if you're leaning into somebody else's reality? Well, going back to Taylor Swift, what would you do if Taylor Swift was in the room? What would 9 out of 10 people do? They would immediately either start validating her. Oh my God, I love your music. You're amazing. You're so great. How do you do it? Like you're giving her all the validation. Or you would be trying to impress her. You would be trying to live up to her reality. You know, maybe I would be like, hey, I have a YouTube channel and I'm a dating coach and I got all these followers. Like, she doesn't care, but that's what I may find myself doing because I'm trying to fit into her reality. I'm trying to prove myself that I belong in this reality with her. Or you might try to make her comfortable. When we believe somebody is above us and we want to get into the reality, we try to make her, do you need anything? Is this place cool? Do you want different music? You're very much trying to accommodate them. So that's entering somebody else's reality. But when you're entering somebody else's reality, they don't really respect you for long. Taylor Swift would go, oh, just another fan. So what do you want to do? Again, this isn't going to be something that you can necessarily do to Taylor Swift, but the average woman that you're meeting, even a beautiful woman, you can impose your reality on her. Now, when you impose your reality, it just means you come across with a really strong reality, a reality that's so strong that eventually she's like, I want to join that one. My reality might have been, who's this guy talking to me? Or this guy doesn't seem cool. But now I actually kind of want to go into that reality. So how do you do it? What are some ways to do it? Well, one of the simplest things that you can do is the mindset if you're approaching a woman, if you're talking to her, is like, hey, you know, you're a silly fun girl. I'm having fun talking to you, right? That's just like the way you're going about it. Not, I want something from you. I'm trying to get you. I'm trying to seduce you. Oh, girls are silly. Girls are fun. I want to, let's talk. Let's have fun. I'm amusing myself, right? You're amusing yourself. You're having fun. And if you do that, you really can't get rejected. This is an interesting fact. A lot of guys fear rejection, but the reality is that when you're just having fun talking to somebody, they really can't reject you because that you have to accept that reality of being rejected. But if you're, hey, you want to hang out? And she's like, no, I'm like, tonight's not good for you. And you're just not accepting it. Well, then it's not ever actually your reality. And eventually, if you do that, they begin to buy into it. So this is something that I actually want to cover in future videos, this idea of owning your reality, because it's something that transcends just dating. It actually, in your career, all these other areas, it really begins to help you to get people to buy into your reality. But I want to get into the next one. So the next one that you want to be conscious of is being bold, being radically honest. And I want to play a couple clips because I think that seeing these clips gives a better example. One of them is from one of my favorite scenes from the movie Vicky Cristina Barcelona, where a guy comes in and he just states his intentions without any apology, right? Going back to this word unapologetic. He's unapologetic about his desire or his intentions. Now, way too many of us, we come across as very apologetic. If we're propositioning somebody in terms of, hey, I wanna get your phone number, or hey, I'd like to take you out sometime, or hey, you're having a good time, why don't we go get a drink back at my place? There's a level of like apology that seeps out of us, even if we're not consciously going, hey, I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you, but that's the vibe that we're giving off. I don't mean to offend you, but I really like to invite you back home with me. Well, bold and radical honesty, when you say something and you just state your intentions very clearly, and you don't have any of that doubt creeping through, it's very hard for somebody not to respect that. So I want to show you this scene, and then I want to show you a more realistic example of how that plays out. So
I'd like to invite you both to come with me to Oviedo.
To come where?
To Oviedo. For the weekend. We leave in 1 hour.
Oh, right. You're asking us to fly to Oviedo and back.
No, we'll spend the weekend. I mean, I'll show you around the city, and we'll eat well, we'll drink good wine, we'll make love.
Yeah, who exactly is going to make love?
Hopefully the three of us.
all right, so I love that scene, and a lot of people go, well, I would never say that. So I wanna, my friend Adam also talks a lot about this, and I had done a video with him a couple years back where he demonstrated this in one of his interactions with a woman, and he's telling that story, and you wanna hear what he has to say.
So I'll give an example. Like really how I discovered this was a girl, she was young, and we were running around Sunset Boulevard having fun, breaking into parties and stuff. And we get to the doorstep, and she goes, so what happens now? So I said, here's what's gonna happen, right? Which sets the tone. Here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna kiss you, right? Nice and straight. Don't have to worry about consent. She can say no. If she says no, I don't. I'm gonna kiss you. If you like it, you're gonna kiss me back. So what did I just do? I stated my will cleanly. Then I gave her agency. I gave her the right to, if she likes it, she can kiss me back. And then I took back the power. If I like it, I'm gonna pick you up, throw you over my shoulder, carry you upstairs, and ravish you till dawn. She looks at me, and then I said, and if we both like it, we'll go to Hawaii in a couple of months, right? So there's a whole bunch of signaling in there that I'm in my power. I give you total respect, right? So there's none of this kind of creepy vibe, but I'm clean about what I want.
So as you can see, it's really just about throwing it out there and being unapologetic about it. One of the things that I used to say when I'd be talking to women is I'd be like, oh, you're really cool, and I'm not just saying that because I'm hitting on you. Or if we were even further into the flirtation, I might go, you're really cool, and I'm not just saying that because I'm trying to get in your pants, right? I'm being unapologetic about my desire, and women respect that, okay? Now, full disclosure, you always need to respect their boundaries. You never want to make anybody feel uncomfortable. And if you sense that, you can back off a little bit. But when you're very open about it and you're very casual and you're not sneaky, women are going to respect that a lot more. Even if a woman was to say to you, hey, I'd rather just be friends. Do you think we can be friends? And you said something like, oh, sure, we can be friends. I mean, I'm still going to hit on you, but I definitely want to try being friends with you. It'd be fun. You can say that and be unapologetic about it. You don't have to go, like most guys, oh yeah, let's be friends. And then they're still attracted to her, they're still trying to get her, but they're very much hiding it. And we lose respect. I mean, one of the reasons why guys never get out of the friend zone the common way is because the woman has no respect for them, because the woman knows that you're secretly in love with her and you never make your move, and then you wait and wait and wait, and then you confess your feelings, and you're kind of putting all the pressure on her, like, hey, I really like you. And now she's like, oh my God, what do I say here? Whereas the guy who's boldly honest, right off the bat, he's making his move. And if she's not interested, that's fine, but he's not hiding it. He's not scared of it. So let's get into the next one. And the next one is ambition. So ambition, again, is unapologetic, because in this case, you're unapologetic for your desire for success, your desire to achieve something, whether it's your desire to be the world's best at some individual thing. Maybe it's your desire to have the biggest YouTube channel in the world. Maybe it's your desire to make a lot of money, to build a big business, to run a marathon faster than anybody else in the country. Whatever it is, ambition demands respect. But here's the secret. It's not about talking ambitious, because anybody can talk with a sense of ambition. We all have friends. I have tons of friends where for 10 years now, every time I hang out with them, they're like, oh yeah, man, I want to get into real estate. I want to buy a bunch of houses. And you can fake that for a second with a woman, and you can be like, oh yeah, I really want to get into real estate. And she may temporarily go, oh, maybe this guy's ambitious. But when she finds out that you haven't done anything yet, and you're probably never going to do anything, that respect instantly diminishes. Ambition is not, I want to get into real estate. Ambition is, I just closed a house, I'm renovating it, I got another one in the works. Ambition is, yeah, I woke up this morning and we drove around looking at about 55 houses. We put offers in 6 of them. None of them got accepted, so we're going out tomorrow and we're going to look at even more houses. That's ambition. Ambition is not, one day I want to start a YouTube channel where I do this. Ambition is, I'm in my studio right now recording videos. Hey, I can't talk. I'm in my studio recording videos for my YouTube channel. That's ambitious. It's doing things. It's moving towards what you want. And it's doing it even in an unapologetic way. So the next one that we want to discuss is tension, and that's your comfort level with tension. We respect people in our society, and you'll notice this. The more comfortable somebody is with tension, the more they thrive under pressure, the more that we respect them. Tom Brady is probably universally considered the greatest of all time. And sure, it's partly because he's won the most Super Bowls, but why has he won the most Super Bowls? Why has he broken all these records? It's because he's cool and he's calm under pressure. He doesn't lose his composure. He's able to handle that tension. The game is on the line. His team is, down by 7 points with 1 minute left. He's not going to lose his cool. And when somebody doesn't lose their cool under pressure, that's an immediate trigger of respect. Now, you might be going, well, I don't play football. What does that mean to me? Well, it means that there's all these moments of tension that exist. I'll give you an example. Going back to Rob Judge and his days of going out in New York picking up girls, I can remember watching him the first time that I ever hung out with him. And he walks up to some girl, totally one of the hottest girls in the bar, and he's poking her on the back. And I'm like, that doesn't seem like a good opening line, right? I'm like, this is not going to work. And she turns around and she's super mad. She's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh man, this is going to go south quick. And he just looks at her and he goes, oh, I just had to get your attention. And again, this is also owning the reality, but it's tension. It's handling tension. I needed to get your attention. And she's like, what do you want? And within 2 minutes, he had her laughing, and then within 10 minutes after that, they're hanging out, talking, he's getting her number. And really what that was tension. Most of us can't deal with that uncertainty. That moment where the woman was like angry at him, it didn't affect him. He didn't go, oh my gosh, she's angry, I gotta appease her. He goes, all right, I got tension coming at my way, she's angry, let me redirect her anger. Let me redirect it towards laughter. And that was what he was able to do. Tension is also your ability to handle that dynamics in anytime you're with a woman. So an example could be eye contact, where when you make eye contact with somebody, do you hold it for a second or do you immediately go, oh my God, this makes me so uncomfortable, I can't look at that person? A lot of times, like when you're at a bar or a party and there's a girl that you see that you like and you're looking and then she looks, you're like, oh, I'm gonna look away. Well, she doesn't respect you if you immediately look away. Now, I'm not saying to stare like a serial rapist or anything like that, but you can give her a quick look and show her that I'm comfortable with this tension. Tension is when you're hanging out with her and it's like when it's time to physically escalate, are you comfortable with that? Again, one of the reasons that my friend Chris Anderson, a guy who coaches with me, one of the sayings that I got from him years ago was escalation is attractive. Why is escalation attractive? Well, because it shows that you're comfortable with it. You're experienced. You're not like nervous to hold a girl's hand on a date. You're not nervous to go for the kiss, right? You're comfortable with it. And that shows her that this is a guy I should respect. Even if I don't necessarily like him, I still respect that he was comfortable enough to go for it, that he doesn't get weirded out, that he's not scared, okay? So the next one that I wanna talk about is this idea of raising your price tag. And this is something that you can tell a woman in a lot of different ways. So on a very simplistic level, it's your appearance. I'm overweight and I'm bald, but I'm overweight and bald, but I still present myself like I believe I deserve like to be treated well. I wear nice clothes. I keep my body language, my posture. I'm not like hiding, right? These are things that you have to be aware of, because I see so many guys that you can just tell looking at them that they don't really think they deserve anything good. And fashion, looks, grooming, all of that's just a small piece of what I mean by putting a higher price tag on yourself. It means, what behavior are you willing to accept from somebody? So if you're hanging out with a woman and she's on her phone again, and she's like, you're trying to talk to her, and she's like texting somebody, and she's like, oh, hold on, and you're standing there and you're like you have a very low price tag on yourself. Your time and your attention is not very valuable, because you're willing to deal with her bullshit and not walk away and not say, hey, it doesn't seem like now's a good time. You're willing to settle for table scraps, and nobody respects somebody that's willing to settle for table scraps. So this plays out in other ways as well. An example that I've given previously was like when you're getting into a car. Let's say you're hanging out with a new group of guys, and you don't really put a lot of value on yourself, and these guys you kind of see as being a little bit above you, and you're getting into a car, maybe it's 4 of you, you're not gonna call shotgun, right? Like, it's a stupid little thing, but it's like, we're gonna give that better seat to somebody else. If it's really high group of people, we might be the one who sits in the middle and just go like, I'm the lowest one here, I'm gonna sit in the middle. The high value, high status guy, the guy who puts a high price tag on himself, he doesn't think like that, which is why he's not the guy sitting in the middle. It's because he doesn't think like that. His reality is, I'm a high value guy. I'm not gonna be the guy sitting in the middle. So I wanted to give you a variety of different ways to look at this idea of putting a high price tag on yourself, but this is really fundamental. Well, I wanna tell you about a free class that I do a couple times a week, and it's called 3 Steps to Social Power, Status, and Charisma. And when I talk about this is, a lot of people think it's hard to make this transformation, right? The belief and all these things. But in reality, there's really only 3 elements to raising your status, power, and charisma in the eyes of a woman. A big part of it is this word perception. How does she perceive you? And there's all these things that you can do to change her perception of you. Because really, being a prize is not grounded in any reality. You're not the prize because you look a certain way, you have a certain job. All of that is like a mirage. It goes away very quickly. I've seen it happen. If you don't have anything backing it up internally and in your attitude and the way you interact with somebody, your resume, which is how you look, your job, all that sort of stuff, that can only get you to like the first interview. If you have a really good resume, you may get more dates, just like somebody with a really good resume might get more job interviews. But on the job interview, that's when who you are comes out. And that's sort of the way I look at it with women. Looks, money, all that sort of stuff, that might get you more dates, but on the date, you've got to be able to back all that up. That's what this class is about. It's about becoming the prize in her eye. 3 steps to status, value, and charisma. I'm gonna put a link below this video. You can register. There's a couple classes to choose from. It's completely free. We're gonna talk about all the high value behaviors that you need to start to instill. I just kind of went through a few of them quickly in this video, but there's a lot more. There's also some low value traits that a lot of guys do without realizing it. We also talk about in the class how you're being tested. Women do these things called prize tests, where when they're interacting with you, they don't know who's the prize in this interaction. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna test you. They're gonna see, does he try to impress me right now? Does he explain himself right now? And what we talk about in this video is how to handle these, because a lot of guys handle them completely wrong. Either they miss them, or they get defensive, or they go overboard and they try to like, well, I'm not gonna do that for a woman, screw her. And that doesn't work either if you wanna actually be with her. So We talk about that. We talk about how to control your reputation, because your reputation, especially in a social circle, is extremely important. What do I mean by that? I mean, you can have everything going for you in a job. Let's say you worked at a job and you worked with a woman that you find attractive. And you could have everything going for you, but if you had a bad reputation, meaning another woman in the office goes, he's kind of creepy, to the one you like, boom, that alone could kill everything. So we're gonna talk about that, how to control your reputation, how to communicate from a position of status. That's what we talked about in a little bit. We're gonna go way more in depth in this free class. So again, completely free, 3 steps to status, value, and social charisma. You can click the link below to register for the class.